Can you tell me a little bit about what you do?
So I am the executive director of Memphis Artists for Change. Memphis Artists for Change is a community organizing and community development nonprofit organization, and it's artist powered and artist centered in the work that we do.
Okay. Okay.
So, so we organize based off of what our community demands. We are truly a community led. A lot of people say community led. We
Yeah.
listen to our constituents, and actually, we hold the way we do business is by holding listening sessions in every activity that we do. And
Hmm.
so our constituents actually inform our program, and it informs what our legislative motivation is. It informs what actions we actually try to move on a local or even broader level.
Talk to the importance of Biden sticking or making good on his promise to appoint an African American woman to this position.
I mean, representation matters. Who really we black women led the cause in making sure that we got a candidate in office who we felt best represented and would actually deliver on some of the promises to those who are on the ground doing the work to make sure that the voices of many are heard.
Hmm.
So representation matters, and not only does representation matters, honoring what those who have helped you to do the work. We're all trying to expand the voices of those on the ground. So how are we still even having this conversation in 2022
Right.
about someone deciding to nominate a black woman to the highest court in the land? How why is this even a conversation, and why hasn't it historically been a conversation, even with the last president who announced who he was going to nominate ahead of time?
Hmm. And the even with just the short list of people that are being considered. And it's one of the things I mentioned to one of my colleagues. I said, whoever is the nominee, their skin is going to have to be so tough because they're about to put this black woman
Through
through
the
the
fire.
ringer. You know what I mean? And this whole discussion around qualification, what are your thoughts on that extra scrutiny that
Well,
black women
I'm
get?
sorry, go ahead if you didn't
No,
finish your
I'm saying
question.
that that scrutiny, and this is across all fields, quite frankly. When you come to positions of leadership and power, we are examined in a way that is
Yeah,
just unprecedented.
yeah, and we in our community talk about the black tax, what I'm saying, being the one
Right.
who also has to carry the weight, and also trying to balance that paradigm of being, exceptional because of your pride of who you are and what's been instilled in you, and then being and knowing you're enough. We
Mhm.
are enough, and there is this higher level of scrutiny for being a part of an organization such as the Black Southern Women's Collaborative, right? And one reason we formed this organization, the collaborative, was because Black women have been doing this work, and we wanted to find a way to support Black women in this work. Myself, as a organization in Tennessee that's gotten a lot of support from being a member of this collaborative, you see how it's highlighted. But there is also an attack, I believe, on Black women, period, because of the power moves that are being made. And so, what we also have to do is own that they see the power that we've always acknowledged we had. And so now let's just move in what we already know we have, you
Right.
know, but moving it in a way that counters these attacks very intentionally and be vocal about what's happening. Like you said, it's ridiculous that we're even questioning whether anyone nominated for the Supreme Court is qualified,
Right.
but because she's black, we put that under higher scrutiny.
Mhm.
It's nonsense, and we've had enough of it.
Yeah. And I think organizations like this one, like the Black Southern Women's Collaborative, are so important because it's almost like a little army behind whoever is the nominee, whoever we're supporting politically, to have that encouragement, that support. That you talk to what you spoke about it, and it's something we saw in the last election. We saw it not just with Black women coming into power in these leadership positions in different ways, but also the history of Black women when it comes to organizing getting people out to the polls, getting people out to vote. Can you speak to the importance of Black women when it comes to harnessing our political power?
It is, I would say it's necessary, but it's necessary for us to continue and to continue to grow all the way back to the tradition of the great Ella Baker, who's a Black woman organizer historically known for actually doing the work and elevating the voice of the people. Black women have been the thread of this nation since its inception, really, the backbone of not just homes, but now CEOs of corporations. So of course, it is adamant that it is necessary that we not only continue to do the work, but grow the work and own our position in what we have accomplished in making this work happen. Therefore, making those who we've helped get into office, those who we've assisted in their endeavor, their political endeavors, making sure that they hold true to the things that matter to us, like family, like fair pay, like fair wages for women, like more opportunities for women and people of color.
Yeah, yeah.
We are so the elders used to say, my granddaddy used to say, my grandmama, that he was the head of the household, but my grandmama was the neck, right? so so
I
so
like that. My mama used to say my daddy was the head, but she was the heart. And she was the head and the heart need each other equally so the body could work. The body.
I love that.
I like the neck.
And I think we need to harness our power as the neck of this nation, and turn it where it's turn its focus and attention to where it should be. And we have, as Black women, been doing that. It is a disservice for those who've been doing such work to hear such murmurings in the background of, how dare he nominate a Black woman, and certain people speaking for black women who are not Black women, who are the very opposite of Black women.
What can everyday people who may not want to lead like a whole organization, what can everyday people do when it comes to this work? People that do care, but just don't know where to begin.
We have a sphere of influence. I tell people that always, you organize in different ways. You may not organize people to vote, but there are certain things you've gotten accomplished in your life, and you've either organized your brothers and sisters or organized your family at large. So find a way to plug in. All of our organizations, there are ways to plug in. There are ways to uplift, and we offer platforms for people to share their voices. But we phone bank. We still canvas as safely as possible when possible. We still ask people to do relational things, which even in their desire to remain safe during this pandemic, like relational texting, relational phone banking, sharing your voice, writing your senator, actually sending those letters out that people keep sending to your inbox. Those things do have power, but owning first your voice and sharing it out loud. Your elected officials are accessible. And if they're not, they should not be in office.
What would you ideally like to see from a Supreme Court candidate? What issues do you think are most pressing?
Oh my God, Roe versus Wade. It's almost a whisper in the wind with the way legislation is going across this nation. Free and safe abortions for people. The regression of what will happen if we take away the option of free and safe abortions for people. The people who will mostly impact will be people of color, poor Black and brown women, and their households. We don't talk about the impact of ecosystems, and how something impacts one person and then impacts all of those around them. So most definitely Roe versus Wade. And of course, the states are suing because of voting rights legislation.
I was going to ask. Yeah.
States are suing because of voting rights legislation. It is, again, I am often amazed at the things that we're having even conversations about. It is the very blatant rewriting of history in our face, from the the critical race theory. So we want to rewrite history. To the Voting Rights Act, we want to repress people's voice. You know, it's yeah. So most definitely legislation around voting rights. You know, states are repressing the vote in ways that are harming Black and brown people, college students. You know, and who does that benefit? It benefits Republicans. Right. And you know, we have to be vocal about that. It's that's a nonpartisan truth. Yeah, because you know, like the Voting Rights Act, you know, it would have restored the Justice Department oversight, you know, which in those states that have a history of voting discrimination. And so who wouldn't want to make sure we have fair elections, you know, in a country whose Pledge of Allegiance ends, you know, with liberty and justice for all. You know, I'm curious as to what the definition of all is to those people who would like to take these laws away.
And it's scary. You know, if I'm really honest, the weight that's being put on those three things just itself. We're not talking about all the other stuff that's happening behind the scenes, but women's rights, abortion rights, critical race theory, the right to teach accurate history in schools, and my God-given right to cast a ballot. You know, basic.
So voice, vote, and volition, right? You know what I'm saying? So it really makes no sense that we're having these conversations and the blatant discrimination and even the blatant denial of discrimination. You're like, who do these laws impact the most, and who do they impact in a negative way the most? Black and brown people, women, poor people.
When a candidate is actually chosen, what will your organizations, are you guys going to collectively stand behind them and support? Like what kinds of support can you offer or provide potential candidates, not just Supreme Court justices, but any political candidates?
Again, at this time, we are most of the work that the part of the work that my nonprofit is involved in the collaborative is the C3 side of the work. Okay. So on the C4 side, we haven't made a decision of what that's going to look like, but we're always doing voter expansion. Not only are we doing like on the ground voter expansion, you know, the collaborative has a goal to train 250 women organizers throughout the South this year. And we're actually going to pilot that program in one of our states. We just hadn't decided which. And we're trying to use that framework. So these leader women organizers will then spread throughout the South. And before you know it, the movement is there. And hopefully we won't have to relive the 60s, and we won't be dependent on one state such as a Georgia to flip our entire country in a direction that benefits us all.
Yeah. All of that work done by a Black woman.
Yes. A Black woman-led organization as well. You know, Nsé Ufot, the current executive director of the New Georgia Project, sits on the collaborative, is a member of the collaborative as well.
I cannot thank you enough for talking to the Chicago.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your interest, and thank you for expanding the voice.